Evening. Can I request to move a little bit this side so that when those come who come later, they can easily just sit there without having to interrupt? Yeah, that's okay. um, Tonight's topic, why me? Destiny or karma? But first of all, if I can have an indication, who is here for the first time tonight? Two. Extra special welcome. My name is Rona, and this center is part of an international network of meditation centers. And I've been associated with the Brahma Kumaris for more than 25 years, meditating, studying, and sharing with others the experiences. And if you would want to know more about the organization and its work internationally and also locally and in the US, I would invite you to visit the website so you can get more background information and also our programs. But special welcome at this center on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. And these talks and meditations and sometimes workshops we have every Thursday night, unless it is a public holiday, but it all year through. Every Thursday there is a session like this. So most welcome, extra welcome for those who are here for the first time. Tonight's session, why me? Destiny or karma? We will go a bit more into depth of the subject of karma, but first wanted to hear from all of you. When you hear this word destiny, what is it that you think of? That life has a purpose? Self-pity? It's my destiny. Self-pity. And that there is an inevitability to the journey. Something that is meant to be. That it is not in my control. Yeah, that word destiny little bit has that feeling. That there is an inevitability, that there is a journey, but that it is not in my control. That it is planned. Plan is already there. Anyone else? Or we don't use this word anymore, destiny. Has it become old-fashioned to think in these words? Anyone else? What do you think of when you hear this word destiny, or do you use it yourself sometimes? Yeah? Then what is it, what it means, apart from everything that has been mentioned? Self-discovery. That there was a past life experience and that you're now stuck with what you're stuck with. That some people may be thinking like that, yeah. That something from the past is hovering over me and made me. Anything else? Okay. But it is good to question ourselves, no? It is good to reflect on these kind of topics. And as we go through our lives, each one of us go through our life, we may be having two kinds of questions. And this is where we kind of want to explore a bit more tonight, is some maybe think whatever happens to us, does it happen at random? It just kind of happens to us? Or is there a law to what happens to us? Is there a law behind what we experience in this life? No? And the spiritual knowledge says there is a law. And many religious systems, they also kind of agree that there is a certain law to what happens to us. But there is a bit of confusion about the details of that law. No, they say in different traditions, as you sow, so shall you reap, or if you do good, good will come to you. So there are different understandings from different religious and cultural perspectives, and also spiritual knowledge says yes, there is a law. But what exactly the details are of that law, that is not necessarily very clear to us. And what is that good act? What is a good act and what is not? The understanding of that may differ from culture to culture, maybe even from religion to a religion. So even if there is a law, and even if we agree that there is a law, that we're still not yet clear. So tonight's session will be a little bit exploring along these lines. And then coming back to the question, why me? Which is, anyone here asked that question sometimes? A lot of times. Maybe all of us at some stage we have asked ourselves, why me? And usually it is not for when the good things are there, is it? When the going gets good, then we should also actually ask, why me? But then we don't. We kind of take it for granted. Okay. So in the knowledge of Raj Yoga, which is what the Brahma Kumaris teaches, there is the understanding that karma, this word, kar actually comes from the word hand. Karma just means action. And so what it suggests is there is a law that governs our actions. The law of karma. So, but actions can be many different fold. No, we can use this hand and hit the wall. That is an action. I can use this hand and move the chair. That is an action. I can move this body physically. That's an action. But I'm also looking at you. That is also an action. And how I am interpreting what I see, that is also a mental action. No? So what I am thinking also falls in the category of actions. The attitude that I'm having also falls in the is also an action. So action is not just something physically. I'm talking. And these words, creating words and expressing these words, that is also actions. No? And what this law suggests is that there is a pattern, that there is a dynamics with those actions. And that if there is a certain quality of that action, it has an impact. And if the quality is high, there is a high quality impact. If the quality is low, there is a low quality impact. That is what this law suggests. And so, if that is the case, then where does this word destiny fit in? Or does it fit in? No? Okay, we will take it a little bit more simplified in steps. If there is fire here, fire is there. Fire in itself, is it good or bad? Fire in itself is neutral. How you use it decides of it, is it good or bad. No? In itself can be very useful. The fire, it heats the place. The fire can heat water. Many of the things that you use and do is because there is fire and there is heat. But if I put my hand in the fire, what will happen? But before I burn it, the hand burns, what will happen? There will be pain. And what is the reason for that pain? It's to tell you that you're not very clever. Isn't it? You're doing something that is not in your benefit. That is what this pain is telling me. This pain is telling me you are doing something that is not in your benefit. So better take your hand out of the fire. But now sometimes I can be a bit stubborn and I say, I do what I want. And I want to put my hand in that fire. So what happens? The pain goes higher. But now the action is not only the hand in the fire. There is a mental motivation behind it also. There is a thinking behind it also. There is an attitude behind that action also. Now, so all these levels of action are there, not just the physical movement of putting the hand in fire. So this pain and this burning fire that will burn the fingers is not just directed to the hand that is in the fire. It is also directed to this attitude, this thinking, this idea, I do what I want, and this stubbornness. Understand? This is not very difficult to understand. So now I can say I do what I want. I can even take painkillers, drink a bottle of whiskey to not feel, put on the television and some social media also, so to distract me and plan my holidays next year. And I leave my hand in the fire. What will happen? Pain will increase, burning will happen, and ultimately there may be danger for the whole body. Now why is that? Yeah, because I'm not very clever. I'm not very clever. I'm not seeing the bigger picture. And I'm giving a simplified example to understand the dynamics. This pain is trying to tell me, look, see the bigger picture. And if you see the bigger picture, then you will see it is not in your benefit. And it is in nobody's benefit if this burning continues. So this example helps me to understand that there is a deeper law behind things. I have the choice. I have the power, how do you call that? The free will to do as I choose with this hand. But if I use that free will in a way that is not very clever, then there is pain. So nature, as if tries to protect me from a wrong use of my free will. And if I use my free will rightly and use this hand, for example, to what? To to what? To scratch, to scratch, or to help someone else carry some groceries or whatever, then the result will be different. And then there will be a different kind of result. But how I use that hand, that is my choice. I can use this hand to fight. I can use this hand to help. The choice is here, taken. Now, the wisdom behind this law is that if I use my free will wisely, things will cooperate with me. If I use my free will to create harm to self or others, then things will not cooperate with me. And maybe that is where this good action or bad action comes from. Because this good action or bad action sometimes sounds very stigmatizing or sounds very judging. But if we measure good or bad by how much benefit it brings in short term and in long term, for self and for others, then it becomes more easy to decide whether an action is useful or not useful, whether something is good karma or something that is not good karma. But it has two elements. Not just immediate benefit only, but also benefit in the long run. Not just benefiting the self, but also benefiting others, now and in the future. Then it becomes already more easy to check whether an action is good karma or not so good karma. If I put the hand in fire, it becomes obvious that that is not even in my immediate benefit. But we need to also understand this at the different levels. Now, there is the physical action, putting the hand in fire. But there are thoughts behind that. Thought or thought patterns behind that action. There is a certain perspective behind that. There is a certain attitude behind that. And so this law works on this level, but it also works on this level and on this level. It takes into consideration all of this. To give another gross example, say someone donates some money to some charity organization. Is that good karma or not good karma? At this level, that is good karma. But you don't know what goes on behind or at this level. If the person think, okay, I'm giving this donation, but I want them to put my name in the newspaper. Intentions behind, would it then still count as good karma? Partly, but partly not. It is not 100%. It's not 100%. Because someone may even say something very nice to you, but in their head they think, whatever, nasty thing. Is that good karma? Why is that not good karma and the charity was half good karma? No, sometimes when what you say, person might be thinking, oh, this is nice. Their self-esteem may be boosted by what you say. But in their head, they may be thinking all kind of nasty things. Yeah, you don't have control, but this law works. Understand what I'm trying to say? So, because sometimes we think, I am doing good, so I see so many people doing good, but still bad comes to them. What I'm trying to say is there's a big part of it is hidden, and you don't know truly. Yeah. Mm. No, it wouldn't say what is, that is what I'm trying to say before. It is not a question of good or bad. It is a question of what is beneficial for you and for others, now and in the long run. And if it is not, then nature might try to teach you by putting a situation or something in your way for you to rethink or to learn the lesson. But sometimes we don't learn. No, we put hand in fire and I'm just leaving it there. But that is, it is not a question of you are bad or you are wrong. It is deeper behind, is actually a question of, are we wise? And are we wise enough? Are we seeing the bigger picture? And are we seeing the biggest picture? No? And if we are not, then nature might be trying to give us a hint. But nature cannot talk that we understand. Nature comes in the form of different situations to kind of show us. If nature cooperates with us, it means we're moving along the right track. If nature doesn't, if life in itself doesn't cooperate with us, it might be trying to tell us that we have to reorient or reflect, think it through again. Maybe there's some deeper lesson to learn. Yeah, yeah. On all levels. On all levels, actually. If because, and I think the physical level might be the easiest. Right. Hand in fire, pain, it is kind of obvious. But even at that level, many times we do not necessarily listen. And I'm talking about simple things like diet, for example. Simple things like certain habits that we may have, physical habits of drinking or smoking or what is it, our cell phone, our cell phone attachments. It might be simple things like that, and we know, I think nobody, you don't need to be a genius to know that to walk around with some of these, these gadgets, and to even at night not being able to put it down and turn it off. We all know that this is not, I mean, it's not too long ago that there were no phones. At least I'm not that old that, that There was a time when we all went to school and we did all kinds of things, and there was no telephone and no parent to check up on us or what happens or not happens. And we were still okay. So this idea that we have to be reachable, that we have to connect with everyone, that we have to be in touch all the time, and then we get stressed out. No, that is still good, but that may not be the highest karma. And sometimes it happens, what I've been saying. We say, oh, this person always does good, and still something happened to them. I don't believe in karma. That is maybe because we're overlooking that there are different levels. And it is not just the physical action. And of course, the physical action of helping or giving, we should not do that just because other levels are not okay. But we should not think that that is the highest and that's it. And if we're on a spiritual journey, first of all, it would be useful, even if we're not on a spiritual journey, it would be useful to be better informed. It would be useful to know dynamics in the universe better, because then we could position ourselves better in life and we can make more informed and more wise choices. And so I'm not saying that to donate or to help at that level is wrong, and or that you should not do it, not at all. But understand that that is not the only qualification for quality of action. There is more behind it also, and we should look at that also, and we will go into that little bit more just now. Regrets or even just realizing. That is another aspect. No, one thing is to realize that there are many levels to a quality of an action, and the other thing is, if I know, okay, if I acknowledge there is a certain amount of baggage from the past, how do I get out of it? That may be the easiest question to answer. You do the opposite. So, for example, if you have given sorrow, give happiness. That is how you balance things out. If you have given pain, and I'm making it very black and white, but if you have given pain, then position yourself in life now in the opposite mode. Give happiness. But that is also, we need to understand a bit more deeply what is really truly giving happiness also. Because just to buy a golden ring or something, or a bunch of roses, that might not be sufficient to get things out of the way. It might be a first step. Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. Intentions falls in this part. No? The thoughts behind, the thought patterns. Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. But even good intentions alone are also not enough. Good, yeah. Good intention alone is also not enough. We still need to be properly informed. Now, much of, uh, if we truly look at ourselves deeply inside, none of us will say we are really, 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 truly bad people. All of us, we kind of deeply inside, there is a nucleus of goodness. We may not always have acted on that, but deeper inside there is what is it? A seed, or at least there is a nucleus of goodness within. um, so we do not necessarily perform karma that is wrong because we are bad. But maybe it is because we do not truly know. And maybe it is because we don't see things broad enough. Am I clear in what I'm trying to say? We may do things that do not have good results, not because we are bad, but because we are not clear, because we are maybe a bit confused, and maybe sometimes a lot confused. So let us see what we could do to see the biggest or a more spiritual perspective. I hope you can see those who are sitting there. Let us start with how we look at ourselves and how we look at life and how we look at others. And many of us, when we look at ourselves and when we think of ourselves, we think of this, more or less. I am not Picasso, but or Michelangelo, but I try my best. Many of us, when we think of ourselves in terms of the physical image, what we see in the mirror. Now, is that the whole picture? No. That is the first thing where we many times are already limiting ourselves. We identify, we see ourselves and we see others based upon their physical appearance, male or female, black or white, or any shade in between, by culture, by race, by nationality, by social status, by their education, by their possessions or their positions. We see ourselves and we see others based on those external physical things. Is that the complete picture? Oh, still not. No. And then we see them based upon their past actions. They have done such and such and such a thing. Is that the complete picture? Then we see them based upon their future possibilities. Is that still the complete picture? Still not. And all of that, many times we see through the filter of what that might mean for me. That is an extra filter we put in there. If it is useful for me and what it might mean to me. All of those are filters. And that is not the complete me, nor the complete you. The spiritual understanding says, behind all of that, there is a being of consciousness, a spiritual being. And that spiritual being gives life to the body and plays the role. Another word that is used for this is soul or spirit. And this being is not bound by the limitations of this body. Now, this body was born at a certain time. This body has an expiry date. That doesn't necessarily mean the beginning or the end of the being of consciousness, because the being of consciousness is non-physical, is invisible, is intangible. So when this disappeared, does not necessarily mean that this stops, that the being stops. Now the being is the one who thinks. It is the being that has memories. It is the being that has certain tendencies and inclinations or impressions. Sanskars is the word in Hindi for this. Certain impressions that are there. And this being uses the body as a vehicle to interact, to express, to share, to care, to experience, to experiment. The being is the experiencer. Now, when we interact with each other, when we think of ourselves, first of all, it would be more useful to know ourselves completely. And based on this knowing the complete self, make certain choices before we do certain things or not. When we see others, make certain choices or not. And actually, what the law of karma says is, if we are in a more broader awareness and act based on that broader awareness, then our experiences might be different. And then also nature acts or reacts differently towards us. I'll give a simple example. Maybe it's not so simple, but I like to think of everything as simple. As long as you know a bit the understandings behind. At the physical level, at the bodily level, we have different parents. We have different places where we were born. We have different, backgrounds. But behind the ones who are using the bodies, we are all souls. And as souls, we are beings of consciousness, beings of light, with same innate nature, same innate qualities of originally of freedom, of eternity, of immortality. Beings who are here in this physical world as travelers. So we are traveling together. We are maybe knowing each other much longer than we ever could at this level. We have been together for a much longer time. And maybe even we are a family of souls. We are a family of souls, and we have come here to play different parts. And we're traveling through time and space. If I'm in this consciousness, there will be a sense of brotherhood. And there will be a sense of everyone is my brother. If I'm in that awareness, if I'm in that perspective, won't my actions and interactions be different than when they are at this level, where I'm thinking of myself and of others as purely bodily beings? Now, if I walk down Fifth Avenue in this awareness, what will I think? Wow, so many brothers all over. In Penn Station, I will think, oh wow, so many family souls. If I'm in this consciousness where I only understand and have the perspective of the self and others as bodily beings, then I will see the differences and feel they are that, I am this, they are that, I am this, they are that, I am this. Oh, that one is also like me. There will be different feelings. And then all the physical differences will make me feel different from others. And then choices and feelings and attitude will be different. Understand? Now, in this, what you could call more spiritual consciousness, at least the perspective will be spiritual. Attitude and thoughts and feelings will be of a different quality. And then physical actions will also, even though it may be always a good action, it will be backed now with a consciousness that is spiritual. You don't need a passport then. You don't need a visa either. Those are big things, but we can start small in Penn Station. Having those feelings of brotherhood for everyone. Understand? So then the karma is not just the words or the physical action, but it is backed by an attitude of brotherhood. It is built with it is backed by a vision or a perspective that is spiritual. And maybe the frictions that humanity is going through at this moment is because the universe is telling us, look, you have moved away from that spiritual perspective completely, and you all have to get back there. Then I will cooperate with you all again. Maybe that is the deeper understanding of karma. Not that we are bad, but that we need to be sensible again, wake up to spiritual understandings again, and act in that way. And now not because now I'm soul conscious, I will think, oh, it doesn't matter, I can put my hand in fire, I am soul conscious. No, even when I'm soul conscious, I will appreciate the body even more. Because in this awareness of traveler, of invisible traveler, spiritual being, this is a gift from nature, to be treated with utmost appreciation and respect. But you are also a gift. Every interaction becomes a gift. The whole mindset will be different. Now, when I sometimes even look at myself also, you walk around the whole day criticizing and saying this not good, that not good, why not this, why not that? You know. And then you catch yourself, you know, what is this? And who suffers? I myself suffer. One moment. But if I shift it around and do it with this perspective, then everything is extra and a gift. Does it matter? Yeah. Yeah. But does it matter? That is the condition at this moment anyway. That is the situation at this moment anyway. that should not be a reason for me not to pursue higher consciousness. But maybe if the quality of my karma, no, in the broadest sense, goes up, what comes to me will be of that quality. And maybe not initially, maybe not immediately, but in the long run, yes. And this may go a bit further than just a Thursday evening talk, but it is good maybe to say it. We are not static beings. No, we react to each other also. So, for example, if there is a little baby, most of us will be pulled in a different mindset. We will have feelings of tenderness for the baby. We will think, oh, cute, you will want to play. It kind of touches that childlike in you. And more cute, more tender, more sweet the baby is, more it will trigger that in you. And the same thing happened with little animals. Every little baby dog or puppy, everyone you will get, even if you might try to hold yourself, but in the elevator or so, someone with a little, you get feeling of attention goes there, and you get feeling you want to what is it, pat them. Or if there is a big dog there and is growling, you will get the feelings to protect that puppy. So what I'm trying to say is, if there is beauty within, if there's sweetness within, if there is compassion within, if there's goodness within, stronger that is, it might trigger that in others. But we should not do it for that, or, well, ultimately, but the focus should be on the self. But what just let me try to finish this whole idea with that traveler consciousness, that spiritual, invisible traveler consciousness. This becomes a gift. Life situations becomes a gift. Every interaction becomes a gift. Every scene becomes like an extra gift. And in that situation, I will not ask why me. There will be gratitude and appreciation for all the things that are there. And whatever is a little bit of a hurdle, I will think, okay, what is the lesson there? Or what is it that I need to shift? Instead of saying, oh, I am destined to suffer. Why me all the time? But our journeys are different also. And our levels of consciousness are different. That is why everyone's circumstances are also different. But what this law says is there are reasons for situations that come to us. And then there are also internal reasons for how we interpret what comes to us. And there is a lot that we can learn still. Yeah. 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 Of course, it is. Suffering is not a virtue. I'm not trying to say that. Any level of suffering is not a virtue. But deeper understanding of this law is if there is any level of discomfort, it might be that nature is trying to tell us you need to broaden your perspective and broaden it to a spiritual perspective. And what, in essence, the spiritual knowledge says, there is some level of confusion going on. And instead of trying to address little situations here, a situation there, a situation here, a situation there, maybe we should try to address the confusion first. To give a hypothetical example, say there is a prince who is heir to the throne. He will have a kingdom. He has everything and everything and everything. But for some reason, he's in the deep belief, some spell, that he's a beggar, that he doesn't have anything. Now he's begging on the corner of the street. He's asking you, can you give me, I'm hungry, can you give me some some money? He sleeps somewhere out there, or he sleeps in Penn Station overnight. He interacts with others who are not having. Now, is it good karma to give him money? It may be good karma, but is it the highest karma? What is more important? To give him money to get this cup of coffee, or to wake him up? To remind him of his bigger truth. No, and this is it is a bit of a funny example, but this is exactly what maybe the law of karma is trying to aim. And if you know that his truth, shouldn't you tell him? Shouldn't you remind him? You should, no? And that may be a higher act of goodness than just to give him money for his cup of coffee. If you just give him money, then he becomes a successful beggar. And being a successful beggar might deceive him, might prevent him from from waking up. Understand what I'm trying to say? So I'm not saying to give money is wrong, but is that truly his need at that moment? His true need is to wake up to the truth. No? And the predicament at this moment that humanity is in is that we don't know what is good anymore. And so maybe the real gift to ourselves and to others is to wake up to higher truth. And if we put it right at that level, then everything else will become clear also. Because then if he wakes up that he is a prince, then he doesn't need to ask for money anymore. He will not have to fight with someone for some place to sleep. That will naturally resolve itself once he wakes up. No? And so maybe this is what truly is destined for every one of us, that we have to wake up. Wake up to spiritual truth. Wake up to bigger truth. And then our perspective will change. Many lessons will be much more easy to learn. And we will be able to come out of all kinds of actions that will then seem useless. And other actions will become more dominant. Yeah, 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 yeah. Very good. So, of course, at the level of physical actions, still act kindly, still act what is it, appropriately, fine. But if we truly would like to use this law to more to our advantage, so to speak, it would be good to explore other levels also. The thoughts and the intentions behind those actions, but also the type of consciousness I hold. Because in this consciousness, as we had already said, the interactions with others will be completely different. Now, if I position myself in this world as a traveler, if I position myself in this world as one who has come into this world and will leave at some stage, and this life is a journey, then my thinking will be different. I won't get into desperate attachments. I won't create all kinds of ego, because I know this is a journey. And a journey changes all the time. And I will be more interested to know myself as the spiritual being than to be fussy about the clothes that I'm wearing. Still, you will wear proper clothes. Nothing wrong with that. But that will not become the purpose of your life. There will be what is the nature of the inner being? Is there higher nature? Is there divinity? What is that power of peace? Where have I come from? The parents of the soul, the family of souls. How can I generate feelings that are much more refined for all my brother souls? That will become more important to me. And on the journey, you will see all kinds of things, the Empire State Building and Penn Station, all this nice, extra, interesting. Someone in uniforms on buses, all kinds of inventions and all kinds of cell phones. Interesting journey. So life will be much richer also, but there will not be the tendency to hold on. And then if that higher perspective is there, and we look back and we see there were certain things done differently, we will also be much more compassionate to ourselves, because we will not blame ourselves because we did not know the bigger perspective. You do what you can where you are at that moment in time. And even what you did know and still did not do, you also acknowledge there was not the inner strength to be different at that moment in time. But now that I am coming out of that, I can act differently now. I can act now truly with joy, or with more compassion, or with spiritual love of brotherhood. So I can balance out what from the past was not so pleasant. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, if the beggar wakes up that he is a prince, he will not carry the guilt of what he did as a beggar, because he know that he was under a spell. Now he's waking up, but now he will use his waking stage to help others wake up also, and to whatever he can share from his wealth, he will use, but he will use it wisely. If he gets access to the wealth of the prince in the beggar mindset, he will just use it for whatever little he can get. But he will still feel, oh, I might lose it. Yeah, yeah. Exactly, he will see the beauty in the other too. Yeah. Does it make little bit sense? Does it help? So simple. I mean, there is vast understandings and vast examples on this topic of karma. And it is in itself is a journey to explore and experiment with it. But one way that I observe my own life, for whatever happens in my journey, if I sincerely look at it, I always find internal reasons that I can shift around, internal factors that I can shift around. And instead of blaming or feeling helpless or feeling, why me, let me play with those internal factors. That, because that is in my hand. And the other thing is, this whole subject, we can make it simple for ourselves to practice. And play with this higher consciousness. Understand the self as an invisible traveler through time, through space, soul. And this soul has come from another dimension. And the soul, all our souls, family of souls. We don't have gender. Gender is something that belongs to the body. There is no skin color for the soul. That is the body. There is no rich or poor or social status or whatever for the soul. We are all equal as spiritual travelers. And so one easy way to kind of play with this is play with this consciousness. See yourself as a beautiful traveler, invisible being that uses this vehicle, and everyone else is also a traveler. Play with it and see how your feelings are when you do that. Want to say anything? In this model, no, draw it a little bit differently. if this is the physical world, in the physical world there are bodies, there is the Amazon, Amazon jungle, there are others, there are dollars, there are cell phones, there are animals, all kinds of things. And there are these beautiful travelers, souls. No? They are traveling through the physical world. They have come from the non-physical dimension. They travel, and at some stage they will leave the physical dimension again. No? This is simple sketch. But what happens with us during this journey is we lose sight of the bigger picture. And we lose sight of ourselves also, and we think, I am this. So we start saying, I am this is mine, this is mine. Especially this is mine. This is also mine, this is also mine. Now we get into attachments, we get into greed, we get into ego, we get into jealousy, we get into anger, we get into lots of desires. So we came here as beautiful travelers, as guests, but when we started to misbehave. No, and I've given this example before in these talks. Say you get a guest. You get guests. People come and visit you and they stay with you. And you make the guest room nice, you give them a bed, you give them a chair and a table, and they can use the bathroom, and they can use your kitchen and refrigerator, whatever. But they coming for 2 weeks. But then 2 weeks are gone and they're not going. So you ask them, when are you going? They say, why are you asking me? To go. And so you say, okay, I'm not saying anything. So after 1 week, they're still not making plans to go. You asking them again. You say, what is this? Aren't you my friend? Why are you asking me? So they're staying 1 more week, but after 1 more week, they change the lock to the room. So there's now my room. It's not your room anymore. After a while, they start saying, this refrigerator is mine. Don't touch. This kitchen is mine now. And they're not making any move to move. So what will you do? Call the police, get them out of here. Because they're overstaying. And they're overstaying your hospitality. This is a simplified example. Now maybe human souls, we have come here in the physical world, we're traveling, we are guests. We have overstayed. And not only we have overstayed, we have misbehaved. Everything here is mine, 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 and we burn down and we do all kind of things. So there comes a time when matter will say, enough is enough now. And so there are all kinds of, matter has different way to talk to us, cannot speak in words. So we will give difficult situations for us to try to get it, but we don't get it. And we continue. So then they have to send bigger situations until we get it. Now, so if there is a natural disaster, or if there is whatever, and there is a campaign to help, in itself, that is not bad. But are we getting the bigger picture? That is more important. And then within these kinds of activities, there's also corruption, so it becomes even double karma. Hmm? Yeah. But at least let us wake up. And the first matter to treat more wisely is this, the body. Does it make sense? Okay. Time always flies. So let us close, but like to encourage, no, as a kind of a homework kind of thing, as an experiment for yourself. Play with this invisible traveler consciousness, like a star in the middle of the forehead, a being that has come from another dimension. We are here as travelers, and all of us are travelers. And cultivate this consciousness. That may be the highest karma we can do at this moment in time. And then whatever you speak, whatever vision you have, whatever attitude you have, it will come from that higher space. Play with it and experiment. Okay, so one moment. Whilst we allow the body to be comfortable, become aware of the breathing. We also become aware of the one who is experiencing everything, the inner being, the soul. And we can experience this being as a presence, a being of light. And we can use the focus of the center of the forehead behind the eyes, of where the soul, from where the soul operates the body. A pure, timeless being of consciousness. A living being, a traveler. And we acknowledge that the journey has a beginning and an end, but the traveler continues on, even if the journey is over. But the journey itself is extra. The journey is a gift. And all others are also travelers. My soul brothers, beings of light. And as we continue the journey, we aim to stay with this broader perspective, this spiritual perspective. And aim to make that the basis from where I function and act. A spiritual being traveler. Thank you. Um, for those who are new here, if you would like to receive the emails, please leave your email address on the desk. If you have given your email and you're not receiving, then maybe you can write it again, but a bit more clear. But also check